How to safely handle firearms. No matter what age, gender, religion, these 4 universal firearm safety rules will save lives, prevent accidents, and allow you to safely handle any firearms. Today at Powerhouse Tactical. Welcome to Powerhouse Tactical, where we talk about everything and anything that has to do with firearms, as well as conservative issues that we face as Americans today. Today we'll be talking about firearm safety. We hear about different accidental shootings and things like that. There are 4 universal firearm safety rules that one can follow. In fact, everyone should follow, that can prevent virtually all of these accidents. Whether you're a beginning shooter or novice, intermediate, or advanced expert shooter, these 4 rules will apply to you all the same. If you are an expert, you should already know all this, but as a refresher, it'll be good to watch till the end. If you're a beginner shooter, and if you have friends who are beginning to get into shooting sport, definitely share this video with them. It will help them and keep them safe when they go to the range. So just to be safe, we'll be using a gun. So this is in the shape of a gun. It'll simulate recoil with a gas, but nothing comes out of the muzzle except laser. And I took out the battery so that even laser doesn't come out. We'll be using this to show a lot of the things that are really what not to do in handling firearms. So let's get to it. Rule number 1, treat all guns as if they're loaded. So I have this fake gun here, but I have a real one here. Magazine out, make sure it's clear. There was one in chamber. Lock the slide back, pinky check, trigger pressed. So we know for a fact, and I didn't put the magazine back in, so we know for a fact that this gun is empty. However, in our minds, physically it's empty, but in our minds this just got loaded again. So when I hand it to someone, when I put it down and pick it back up, I'm going to treat it just like it was loaded in the first place. I'm going to put it down, maybe go have a chat with a buddy, and when I pick it back up, to make sure that it's unloaded, because that's what you do with loaded guns. I'm going to do a quick check, make sure the mag well is empty, and I'm going to be treating this gun, when following rules, as though this gun is loaded, which leads us to the second rule of the universal firearm safety rule. So second rule is, this is the muzzle, the business end of a firearm. Do not point the muzzle at anything or anyone that you're not willing to kill or destroy. So just imagine that there's a laser beam, straight laser beam coming out of the muzzle, and every time you move your firearm, the laser beam follows with it. Make sure that that laser beam does not touch any part of your body, first of all, and anyone else's body, or point it at a direction where there are people. At a range, rule of thumb, muzzle should always be pointing down range. So if I'm standing at the range right now, this gun would be pointed that way. The muzzle would be pointed that way, and even when I put it down, it'll be put down this way. It'll be picked up this way. It'll be pointed that way. I'm going to check, safety check this way, right? I'm going to pinky check this way, and the whole process, the muzzle will be pointed down range. If I'm at home, if I'm at a different place other than the range where there is no down range, most of the time this will be pointed downward, and when I put it down, I'm going to try to find the best direction away from me and away from others So if I'm sitting here, if I have my family there, I'm going to most likely put it down pointing that way, away from people. Okay? So muzzle, away from anything and anyone that you're not willing to kill or destroy. Rule number 3. This is also very important. All these rules are going to be equally important. Your trigger finger. Your trigger finger needs to stay off the trigger. Well, that's kind of counterintuitive. Isn't trigger finger supposed to be for the trigger? Not until you make your conscious decision to fire your weapon. So it doesn't matter if you have used your sights to acquire the target, until you're ready, not only ready, but decided to pull that trigger. So you're ready to fire. You're ready all you want. But until you make that decision to fire that weapon, your finger's not going anywhere near your trigger. And I hate people having their trigger finger on the trigger guard. Because in a more high stress situation, like a defensive shooting situation and whatnot, your hands are going to tense up. And when they tense up, they're going to squeeze harder, and your finger may actually pop in there like that. Oh, that scared me. So you don't want to do that. So it's best practice to have your trigger finger on the side of the gun, not on the side of the trigger guard. So have it on the side of the gun. Make sure it's touching the gun so that your stimulation is happening, so that you're building muscle memory, so you don't have to think about it. It automatically goes there after it becomes your second nature, built into your muscle memory. So let's make sure you do that. And until you acquired your target, and you're waiting until you're ready and you've decided to fire it. And once you made that decision, finger goes in there and you fire. Okay? Finally, rule number 4 in the universal firearm safety rules. Rule number 4 is be aware. So 1, 2, 3 had to do with firearm. Number 4 has to do with your target. So be aware of your target, not only your target, surrounding your target, behind the target, as well beyond your target. So surrounding your target is pretty obvious. Why would you need to worry about that? Well, because people miss. So if you missed your target, what would you hit? Very important. Number 2, what's behind your target? When you're at a range shooting at a paper, not quite as important, but by building that into your thought process and making it become your second nature to do that, in a self-defense situation, you're going to worry about what's behind that bad guy that you're defending yourself and your loved ones from. What if I'm defending myself by shooting back at a bad guy, but there is an innocent person right behind him? You know, bullets are known to go through things. So it is very important to be aware of what's behind your target, what's in your line of fire, and behind your target line of fire. Not only that, if you miss slightly to the right, how far would it go? How far would a bullet travel? And what will be down there? Very important. Every bullet that leaves your muzzle, you're going to be responsible for it ultimately until the bullet meets with the earth. So until it hits the ground, which may be a mile, 2 miles, in some cases beyond 2 mile distance before it hits the earth. So whatever, if it gets stopped by something on the way, you're going to be responsible for destroying or killing that. God forbid it's a person. So that's why in a defensive situation we always try to stress the fact that there should never be a warning shot fired. First of all, legally there's no such thing, because it's not a warning shot. You meant to shoot him but you missed. Maybe you're just a bad shot. Can't argue with that. And or moral consequences, because you did a warning shot to warn this guy, but that warning shot could have traveled 2 miles away and hit a girl 7, 8, 9, 10 blocks away at a playground or in a second floor apartment building, goes through a window and hits a girl that's doing her homework. Never even heard a gunshot. They sometimes never even find out where it came from. It came from so far away. And you're going to have to live with that In fact, you wouldn't even know if you killed somebody or not. So that's very, very a detrimental thing for your psyche, and it's just something that I would never risk to do. So no such thing as warning shot. So be aware of your target. So let's review. 1, consider all firearms as if they're loaded. 2, muzzle control. Never point at anything or anyone that you're not willing to kill or destroy. Keeping your finger off the trigger, number 3. And number 4, finally, is being aware of what and where you're shooting at. Now, there are a couple things that I see whenever I go to ranges, not always, but sometimes, that I see some guys do that just really, really gets me tense and stressed when I see things, and I'll sometimes tactfully approach them and try to point some of the things out so they can be safe as well as me, because they put me at risk when they don't practice their safety rules. So for example, a guy unholstering, all they have to do is just grab the gun and unholster and put it down, downrange, point it downrange and put it down. Rather, what they do is they have their hand over here, and as they unholster, they're flagging themselves, flagging or muzzling or lasering. You know, they all mean the same thing. You're touching yourself with that laser beam coming out, imaginary laser beam, right? Definite no-no, right? And then you fire, and then you get a jam or a misfire or something like that, and you want to clear it. And just imagine I'm at a firing line at a range, and I'm doing this. What's over here? Fellow shooters. I'm muzzling every one of them. Yikes. And as they go back, because they haven't reholstered, practiced enough reholstering, they need to find their holster, so they don't want to be doing that, so they got their support hand going over here, finding the holster, and pretty much muzzling your hand again. And also, the angle of holstering is important too. If you're tilting it inward, what are you flagging? Everything here. All kinds of important things going on over here. Definitely don't want to be flagging yourself there. So make sure that it's going straight down, and you don't need your left hand. Make sure that it just look. Done. I hope you guys got something out of it. Experts, hopefully it was a good reminder. Beginners, make sure that you guys practice this consciously again and again until it becomes second nature, and then check yourself again to make sure you're doing it from time to time. Thank you for joining me again. These were the 4 universal safety rules for handling firearms. Stay safe, stay responsible, God bless you, and God bless this republic.